Hello again. Welcome to Chapter 2, Time Management. If you ask me, this is one difficult task to handle. What is time? They say one cannot own time, but can use it. One cannot keep it, but can spend it. And finally, once we've lost it, we cannot get it back. Time may be free, yet it is priceless. And this is what we should bear in mind when it comes to learning. According to a study from eLearn Center in Spain, along with the amount of time spent learning, or the so-called time on task, the quality of learning time has a real influence on the learning performance. Quality of time in online learning depends on students' time availability and their willingness to devote quality cognitive time to learning activities. However, the quantity and quality of the time spent by adult e-learners on learning activities can be reduced by professional, family, and social commitments. Considering that the main time pattern followed by most adult e-learners is a professional one, it may be beneficial for online education programmers to offer a certain degree of flexibility in instructional time that might allow adult learners to adjust their learning times to their professional constraints. Some research supports the idea of flexible time for e-learning because learners need time to talk, write, reflect, and otherwise engage in activities. That's why time flexibility is one of the most appealing options offered by distance education, allowing two kinds of time to be combined: instructional time and learner's time. However, our time is not always flexible, and learning will often need to fit a time framework and schedule. The relation between time and learning is one of the most perplexing questions in teaching. Workload is appropriate when learners are provided with enough time for completing learning tasks, and learner capacity is taken into account. If the time devoted to some reading activity in the learning process is not enough, we cannot acknowledge the materials properly and we feel demotivated because our final results are not satisfying. In the relation between time and learning, a very important aspect is the amount of time needed to process the material. Learners simply need time for mental processing, thinking. During the thinking process, new knowledge is connected to what is known before. It is very closely connected to individual mental capabilities, and it needs to be done by learners on their own. Time cannot be the limit here. Everyone needs time to think. Very often, this time is either forgotten or simply underestimated in the process of learning. Thus, we can conclude that the relation between time and learning is first and foremost a logical relationship. This relationship is determined by at least the following factors regarding the learner: ability and talent, motivation, quality of previous knowledge, difficulty of the course, quality of teaching, and quality of counseling. There are plenty of management techniques in the area of business, trade, and personal development which can be adapted to the learning process. We simply need to remember some basic rules. Setting goals is a good start. It is important to visualize your goal, to put it into perspective, to clear your mind and set your thoughts only towards achieving it. This technique will help you eliminate the activities that might disturb you or distract you from reaching that goal. If we are not quite sure of the entire travel towards the goal, we need at least to know our priorities on the way to achieving it. It's one of the first things we should do. And if we're not sure what to prioritize, we can ask ourselves questions like, why am I doing this? How can this help me achieve the goal? Once we have written down our goal and priorities, it will become easier to see the finish line. Now it's time to establish tasks and objectives that will help us reach our goal. Bear in mind that tasks are the smallest identifiable and essential pieces which act as units of our work. On the other hand, objectives are the specific results that we are trying to achieve within a certain time frame with the available resources. Tasks should have a clear schedule. Underestimating the time available is a common mistake. If, for example, your task is to write the report, it's not enough to consider only the actual writing time needed. You need time to research, to read, to plan your writing, to edit it. Multitasking. Does that really exist? Some people say it does. Others say that results of multitasking are mediocre. If we are talking about playing with a child while cooking for him or her, then maybe we can focus on two things at the same time. But in the process of learning, multitasking does not really exist, and we should always focus on one task at a time. Do not let distractions take over. Some people like listening to music while learning. However, this is a distraction, and as such, it should be eliminated. Computers are not cleverer than human brain, but they can do multiple things thanks to multiple cores of the processor. They might be able to do multiple tasks at the same time, but even computers work more effectively when performing a single task. So, although we like listening to music and learning at the same time, avoiding distraction will allow us to learn faster. Do not leave things until the last moment. Very often, we postpone some activities which are more difficult in favor of those which are easier or more pleasant. The fashionable word to describe this behavior is procrastination. Well, nevertheless, if we have something difficult to learn, we should start learning it only when we are ready. Do not force things. In learning, it will not work. Now let's admit it, who is not familiar with the situation in which we have an exam scheduled for, let's say, Friday and time to study for it since Monday. On Monday and Tuesday, we do nothing. On Wednesday, we collect notes. And on Thursday, we panic that we don't have enough time. In this extreme situation, not only do we procrastinate, but we also fail to plan our breaks. If we start off studying hard on Monday and continue on Tuesday, Wednesday can be our break, and Thursday can be used to go over the material just before the exam. Breaks are important. In order to plan them, we need to know what kinds of learning intervals are suitable for us. If we can read or learn for, let's say, 4 hours straight, then we should set our breaks at that time. But in reality, breaks should be more frequent. While sitting in front of a computer, it is always good to look away every 15 minutes, out of the window or elsewhere, or just take a short walk around the room. To conclude, we need to set our goals and prioritize them. We need to have a to-do list of tasks and objectives which we will schedule. Let's focus on one thing at the time and eliminate other distractions. While learning, take breaks and never leave the important things until the last moment. Good luck.